All right, I've got to tell you something that might make you rethink your entire morning routine. You know that thing you do every single day without even thinking that you've probably done for years? Yeah, turns out it could be quietly wrecking your heart. And here's the kicker: it's not smoking, it's not sugar, it's not even lack of exercise. I'm talking about something so common, so normal, that even people who are super health conscious do it, thinking they're making the right choice. I did it for years. My friends still do it. Millions of people are doing it right now while you're watching this. And listen, I'm not pointing fingers here. I'm guilty too. For years, my mornings looked exactly like this. I'd roll out of bed, half awake, head straight to the kitchen, grab my favorite mug, and pour myself a strong cup of coffee. No food, no water, nothing else. I'd sip it while checking emails or scrolling through my phone, thinking I was starting my day like a champ. I actually prided myself on it. I thought, hey, I'm skipping breakfast. Maybe I'll burn more fat, keep my energy sharp. I even told friends they should try it, like I was giving them some secret life hack. But then I stumbled across a few studies. Not clickbait headlines, I'm talking real, peer-reviewed research. And it was like someone pulled the emergency brake on my mornings. What I thought was a harmless little ritual was actually pushing my heart in the wrong direction, day after day. And when I learned why, that's when everything clicked. Here's the thing: heart disease isn't some far-off rare condition. It's the leading cause of death worldwide. In the US alone, someone dies from it every 33 seconds. That's not me trying to scare you. That's straight from the CDC. And here's what most people don't realize. Yes, genetics play a role, but the majority of heart problems aren't just written in your DNA. They come from tiny, everyday choices, stuff so small you wouldn't think twice about it. This morning habit is one of them. What makes it so sneaky is how normal it feels. You wake up, you're in a rush, you skip breakfast, maybe grab coffee, and get on with your day. You've probably done it hundreds of times without a second thought. But those tiny choices add up, quietly putting strain on your heart before you ever feel a single symptom. The scary part? You could be feeling totally fine right now, but inside, the damage is slowly building. And by the time you get a warning sign, it's often way down the road, when the problem's much harder to fix. That's why it's worth knowing what's really going on, because once you see the connection, you'll never treat your mornings the same way again. So what is this sneaky little routine that's quietly messing with your heart? It's skipping breakfast and diving straight into your day with nothing but coffee in your system. Yep, no food, no hydration, just a hit of caffeine on an empty stomach. Sounds harmless, right? I mean, we've all heard people say, I'm not a breakfast person, or I function better on coffee. But here's the truth. Doing this day after day triggers a chain reaction in your body that puts extra strain on your heart. And the crazy part? You might not feel a thing in the moment, but your cardiovascular system definitely does. In just a second, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens inside your body when you start your day this way, and why even healthy, active people aren't immune to the damage. Alright, so here's what's really happening when you start your day with only coffee and no food. First, you've been fasting all night. Your body's been running on reserves, and your blood sugar is naturally lower when you wake up. Then you add coffee, which triggers a big spike in cortisol, your body's main stress hormone. Cortisol is meant to give you that fight or flight kick in the morning, but on an empty stomach, that spike is much sharper. That sudden rise in cortisol and adrenaline does two things. It raises your heart rate, and it increases your blood pressure. Imagine revving your car engine full throttle without any oil in it. Sure, it runs, but the wear and tear adds up fast. Over time, this morning stress response can inflame your blood vessels. Inflammation makes it easier for cholesterol to stick, forming plaque, the stuff that clogs arteries. And when your arteries are stiff or narrowed, your heart has to work harder to pump blood. There's actually research backing this up. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that people who regularly skipped breakfast had an 87% higher risk of dying from heart-related causes compared to those who ate a morning meal. And it's not just about breakfast itself, it's about the physiological stress your body is under when you skip it. Plus, caffeine on an empty stomach can mess with your insulin sensitivity. That means your body has a harder time controlling blood sugar later in the day, which is another strike against your cardiovascular health. Over months and years, this pattern quietly increases your risk for hypertension, atherosclerosis, and even heart attacks. So yeah, that I'll just run on coffee habit, it's not just giving you a caffeine buzz. It's setting off a stress cascade your heart really doesn't need first thing in the morning. Now here's where it gets real. This isn't just some invisible process happening in a lab. You can actually start to feel the effects of this habit creeping into your day-to-day life. For a lot of people, it starts subtly. Maybe you notice you feel a little jittery or anxious mid-morning. Your hands might shake slightly, your chest feels tight, or your heart is beating faster than it should, even though you're just sitting at your desk. Some people get dizzy when they stand up quickly, or they hit a sudden wall of fatigue a couple of hours after their coffee. That's your blood sugar and blood pressure doing a little roller coaster routine they're not supposed to be doing. Over months or years, these little signs can build into something more serious. Persistent high blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, or chest discomfort after mild activity. I've even heard from people who thought they were having random panic attacks, only to find out it was their heart reacting to daily cortisol spikes from this exact morning routine. And the scariest part? Sometimes there are no symptoms. Your heart could be under stress every single morning, and you wouldn't know until it shows up in a blood test, or worse, during a health scare. That's why catching this habit early is so important. Because the earlier you change it, the easier it is to reverse the damage and give your heart a break. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking right now, but I've heard skipping breakfast is good for weight loss. Or maybe, I'm doing intermittent fasting. Isn't that supposed to be healthy? Here's the thing. There's a big difference between structured, planned fasting and accidentally starving your body while blasting it with caffeine. Intermittent fasting done right still involves proper hydration, balanced meals during eating windows, and managing stress levels. What most people do in the morning is, well, the opposite. They roll out of bed dehydrated, skip food, and load up on coffee, which is basically a stress cocktail for your cardiovascular system. Another common one I hear, coffee wakes me up, I feel fine, so it must be working for me. The problem is, feeling fine doesn't mean your heart's fine. High blood pressure often has zero symptoms. Your arteries don't send you a text saying, hey, we're stiffening up in here. That's why so many people think they're in the clear until a checkup, or worse, a scare, proves otherwise. And let's not forget the metabolism myth, the idea that skipping breakfast forces your body to burn more fat. Sure, you might burn a little more stored energy in the morning, but the cortisol and blood sugar spikes from coffee on an empty stomach can actually make your body hold on to fat later in the day, especially around the belly. Not exactly the result most people are going for. So if you've been holding on to these ideas, I get it. I used to believe them too. But once you see the actual impact on your heart, those harmless habits don't seem so harmless anymore. All right, so now that we know the problem, let's talk about how to fix it. And the good news is, it's actually way easier than you think. You don't have to overhaul your whole diet or start waking up 2 hours earlier. Small tweaks can make a big difference for your heart. Step 1. Break the fast gently. I'm not saying you need a 3-course breakfast at 6 a.m., but give your body some real fuel before you go for the caffeine. Even something small, like a banana with a spoonful of peanut butter, a slice of whole grain toast with avocado, or a handful of nuts with some fruit, is enough to stabilize your blood sugar and soften that cortisol spike. Step 2. Hydrate before you caffeinate. You've gone all night without water, so you're already starting the day a little dehydrated. Downing coffee first thing only adds to that. Try drinking a full glass of water as soon as you wake up. You'll be surprised how much better you feel, and your heart will thank you for it. Step 3. Delay your coffee. This is a tough one for a lot of people, but hear me out. Your natural cortisol levels are highest in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking. If you wait about an hour before that first cup, You're letting your body's natural energy systems work without flooding your heart with caffeine right away. Plus, coffee later in the morning tends to give you a smoother, more sustained energy boost. And if you're someone who really wants to try intermittent fasting for other health reasons, there's still a heart-friendly way to do it. Hydrate first, maybe have a little protein or healthy fat before coffee, and make sure your meals during the eating window are balanced. The goal isn't to take coffee away. Trust me, I'd never do that to you. The goal is to make sure it's working with your body, not against it. Once you make these small changes, you'll notice less jitteriness, more stable energy, and most importantly, you'll be giving your heart a calmer, healthier start to the day. So let's wrap this up. The deadly morning habit? Skipping breakfast and hitting your heart with coffee on an empty stomach. Why is it a problem? Because it spikes cortisol, raises blood pressure, messes with your blood sugar, and over time, quietly wears down your cardiovascular system. The fix? Fuel first, hydrate, and then enjoy your coffee. Ideally an hour after waking. That's it. 3 simple steps to give your heart a calmer, healthier start every single morning. Remember, coffee isn't the villain here. It's the timing and the lack of fuel. Get those right, and you're setting yourself up for better heart health without giving up the drink you love. Now I want to hear from you. What's your first move in the morning? Are you team coffee first, or do you grab food right away? Drop it in the comments, because I'm really curious how many of us have been doing this without knowing the risks. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit that like button, not just for me, but so YouTube knows to show you more videos like this that can actually help you protect your health. And hey, if you care about keeping your heart healthy for the long run, you're definitely going to want to stick around, because this channel is all about cutting through the noise, breaking down the science, and giving you the real, doable tips that make a difference. And speaking of giving your heart the best shot at staying strong, there's a huge debate happening right now about diet, plant-based versus carnivore. Both sides claim they're the ultimate way to protect your heart, but the science tells a much more interesting story, and it's not what most people expect. In the next video, we're going to dig into the data, compare how each diet affects things like cholesterol, inflammation, and blood pressure, and figure out which one actually comes out on top for long-term heart health. Trust me, if you've ever wondered which way of eating is really doing your heart a favor, you're going to want to see this one.